Up next on the Elevated Podcast.
In this episode,
to say, just pick one thing out of all of who God is and all of who I
you want
am.
to bring God into the...
I'm just saying.
Okay, go ahead. We're going to have a conversation.
We can't just put that all in one box and say, this is the only way I'm ever going to express or be expressed.
Around the topic.
The truth of the matter is, if you're trying to do two things at one time, something is getting more adequate attention than the other.
The multi-passionate creative.
It's like taking someone to a buffet and saying you can only pick one thing.
What's good, Elevation Nation, and welcome to the Elevated Podcast, where the it is God beyond religion and success is spiritual. I'm your host, Christian, along with my amazingly awesome and beautiful wife, LaNisha. Now let's go. Beautiful. Let's talk directly to Elevation Nation. All right. So you have no idea where I'm getting ready to go here. So just like put the face on that you like. Yeah, you're gonna be good wherever I say it, but I'm, you might say I'm gonna throw you under the bus a little bit.
Let's go. Oh, okay.
Oh no, that's how we gonna start the episode.
That's how we start.
Listen, so I've noticed that you found it a little unsettling at times to be a part of what I call the just pick one mentality. Okay.
Okay.
So go with me, right? So you love it, and I'm being facetious when I asked the question, what is your passion?
Mm-hmm.
Or what's your one thing, etc. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you good so far? You with me?
I got you.
Okay. All right. So we good now. Our marriage is okay?
Yeah,
okay.
Always.
Always. Okay. So I want to know what's your thoughts and feelings on this mindset, right? The one that says, look, you need to just pick one passion. You need to do this. You need to do that. Now, I have asked that in the past and we're growing, but I want you to share that with Elevation Nation.
I think it doesn't give the fullness of who a person is to try to force them into one box, one passion. Like, that's your passion, figure out what it is and stick with it. Like, I think it limits us. It may be beneficial to be a starting point to say pick one thing, but I think we have multiple passions there, and through life they change. I'm not passionate about the same things I was 5 years ago. So I think it's a difficult question because it kind of puts a person in a position where they have to almost dilute some of the other things that are important to them because they are being asked to just pick one.
That makes sense. So it sounds like to me you're saying to just pick one is kind of limiting.
Yes.
Yourself.
Yes.
Yes. This is a conversation that we go back and forth with pertaining to that. So, okay. Why do you feel that's an area of limiting? I'm not disagreeing. I just want to hear that heart because Elevation Nation, I'm sure, can probably agree with that, especially if you're saying, look, I'm a multi-passionate creative.
I mean, just look at everything that life has to offer.
Okay.
To say, just pick one thing out of all of who God is and all of who I am.
You want to bring God into the...
I'm just saying.
Okay. Go ahead.
Isn't that where our passion comes from?
Absolutely.
So I just think that it's like taking someone to a buffet and saying you can only pick one thing when all of this is available to you. You don't have to like and love everything.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a good 3 or 4 things at least that you're like, this I gotta have.
Yeah.
And so I think if we look at life in that same manner, there's so much that life has to offer us, so much inside of us as individuals to offer to the world that it would limit our impact, I believe, on this earth if we said, oh, I'm just going to pick one thing that's on my heart.
Yeah.
Even though I'm really feeling like 4 or 5.
Elevation Nation, I want to know if you agree with LaNisha. Are you seeing that perspective? And so, again, if you are watching us on YouTube or listening to us on YouTube, feel free to put that in the comment section. If you vibing and you in your car, I mean, you can still say that you agree with LaNisha pertaining to that area. I won't give my perspective as of right now. I'll just continue within that conversation because I do have a statement that I'd like to read.
Okay.
And I want to get your thoughts on it. And obviously, Elevation Nation, I want your thoughts as well.
I feel like
in
this
the
is
comments.
a setup.
What do you mean a setup? Why do you feel like it's a setup? We're going to go with me, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Right.
Setup and all.
In case you guys don't know already, we're on this journey, right? We're on a journey right now, right? so I'm vibing. I'm seeing God in all different, awesome ways. You know what I mean? So, we're just going to go with this flow. You trust me? That's convincing. Convince Elevation Nation that you trust your husband.
I trust you with everything.
Okay. All right. So this is what I'm going to read for you. All right. So what's your thoughts on this idea? Each of us have a unique passion to share with the world. When defining this passion, it should be significant enough to grow with you and encompass all your expressions throughout your life. You need me to read that again?
Yes.
I knew it. Each of us has one unique passion to share with the world. That part, okay? When defining this passion, it should be significant enough to grow with you and encompass all your expressions throughout your life.
Got it.
What would you say to that?
I feel like within that, there's room for, it's almost like an umbrella with all the other things in it underneath it, which I could see.
Okay.
Like if your passion is the umbrella, but then you have all these expressions of who you are. Like say, for instance, my passion is for women in particular to be living and walking in freedom of who they are. That's my passion. But I'm also a creative. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a minister. I'm a teacher. I'm a speaker. So I do all of these things.
Yeah, that's what you do.
But that passion that I have always shows up and flows through. I look at the things I do as the channels or the streams by which the passion or whatever the message is flows through.
Okay. So do you agree with that statement? Or now, Elevation Nation, just by the way, it's no right or wrong, okay? Because
I still feel like I'm being set up.
We also,
don't y'all feel
because
like
we
that?
know there is a law of polarity. And what's the law of polarity?
Are you trying to test me now?
No, I'm just saying, what is the law of polarity? So, right?
That's like when there's one thing, there's an opposite to it.
So it gives us the power of choice. So it's not necessarily right or wrong, for there's different perspectives. But go ahead. Do you agree with that statement?
I'm processing that statement.
Okay, you're processing that statement. Elevation Nation, do you agree with that statement that I had read off to you?
Who made the statement?
It doesn't matter who the author is. Just know that the statement was being made, and we want to know if there's agreement around the area of the statement. Okay. So my perspective, I think it can be both. Right. I think it depends on your perspective, obviously.
Yeah.
Because if I think of you, my beautiful, awesome wife, I can think of one word. If I had to pick one word, it's probably on your shirt. It says create, y'all who are listening. And if the camera angle didn't hit you right there. All right. So I think you would identify with that word. But like you said, in that umbrella, it's so big.
Yeah.
Because if we want to go scripturally and we talk about, God, again, God, source, whatever you desire to call it, looking at the area of dealing with God, and being made in that image and that likeness. God is a creator. We are made in that image and likeness, that spiritual image and likeness. So even within that, it's such a big umbrella underneath that. So I agree with what you're saying, but I see both perspectives pertaining to that, right? I think if we take the mind off of limiting, even if I say God and I put that out there, depending on what somebody's religious heart and mind and culture is, they're going to have a different expression of the presence, love, beauty of God. Still one word that we're saying God, right? But do I view that as limiting?
By just saying God?
Right, because in the area, it's still one word.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it's that mindset. Like when we said elevate it, this is progressing. This is, I would say progressing, what would I say? Evolving. Thank you. Evolving, right? People who rocking it out from the very beginning, elevate it is what?
Inner tugging.
Okay, still connects.
Yes.
I just said what when I started this?
Word it is God.
God beyond religion. Okay, so somebody like, wait a minute, what? It's still it. Somebody might read this and say, God ain't a it. Again, I'm not to the area to judge that, but again, you can look at it and say that's limiting, or I can look at it. I don't look at it and see it's limiting.
Right.
I look at it and see it's powerful, it's expressive, it's all, it's the umbrella of whatever it. Look, Genesis even talks about, or Exodus, excuse me, the God being the I am, whatever you want to put at that particular level, right? So looking at that area of seeing it, I do see this statement as one that can go from both. Now, again, I think it's the area, if somebody was to say, what is your passion? Sometimes it's hard. Just like me, I can identify, it's been difficult, like nobody else, how difficult it had been for me to identify when somebody says who you are or what your business is or whatever. I go back and forth, as we can all see and listen, if you're going from that level, because I think even with expressing who God is, there's no, whatever I come up with it doesn't fully express what it is.
Right.
So as long as I'm okay with knowing that these are aspects, these are areas I can't fully decide, I think I have to be good with that. But go ahead. Go ahead.
I think even if you're referring to God, right? I feel like at any given moment, I experience God in a different way.
Okay.
And so there's so many ways that God expresses itself through me. So like, I can't just expect God to show up only this one way in all of who I am. And so there's so many ways in which we experience God, which we experience life, which we experience love, which we experience just our interacting with other beings as well. Like, we can't just put that all in one box and say, this is the only way I'm ever going to express or be expressed in this earth realm.
Yeah. That's
limiting ourselves. That's limiting the creation. That's limiting the creator. So
that's good. That's good. Elevation Nation, feel free, put that in the comment section. Share that perspective, the heart mind. And I think it's really important for us to sit with this and not even rush this process. Because having to solidify even that belief, even for some of us, is the area of God. For some of us, it's the area of saying, you know what, within this area of passion, because a huge part of the Elevated Podcast, Purposeful Life Coaching, all that stuff is identifying those things, living, expressing, and experiencing God, because as we said, and we're even learning, the area of success is spiritual. And being spiritual, and all those things are aligning. Like, even thinking about spirit, Holy Spirit, when I think about spirit, I'm like, you can't limit that area of that expression. And so people used to joke about all the businesses that we had, and that's just us unfolding and developing from that area, because maybe this particular season I felt to express myself through coaching, and I felt like expressing myself through candle making. I felt like expressing myself for God in the earth realm. And again, for us sitting from the area of oneness, we're cooperating. So as we're living, breathing, operating, understanding who God is and expressing that here in the earth realm, it's just a blessing for the area. So it's not a bad or good or right or wrong. I just think it's an area of understanding that area, and then also not limiting, because it's an opportunity for both. There may be a season in time when you do need to sit with the area of understanding what is that that one.
Right. That's why I said earlier when you initially asked the question, I think it's not a bad thing to choose one thing to focus on in that moment or in that season.
Okay.
Because I used to think that I was an excellent multitasker. And maybe I was at one point, but the truth of the matter is that was cute.
You are.
But the truth of the matter is, if you're trying to do two things at one time, something is getting more adequate attention than the other. It's just the way we work, right? Like I could be listening, I'll work sometimes and I'll be working on a project or whatever, but I may have something playing in the background. At one moment, I'm really listening, but the work's not getting done, right? And other times I'm in on my work. It's playing in the background, but I'm not really hearing it.
Yeah.
So I feel like there may be things floating around, multiple things floating around, but we can only really fully give to the moment we're in and to that thing that's right in front of us.
That's so good.
And so with that, I think I'm leaning more towards your umbrella approach that
maybe we should have named the episode that the umbrella approach.
Go ahead. That you have this passion, right? And I think it happens naturally. Like I say to you all the time, like you're always your message, no matter how much you've evolved, right? No matter how many businesses, no matter how many various approaches you've had, you've always wanted to help people like be free. You wanted to help people be clear on who they are and just thrive and run in that. Like that's been clear since we've met.
Wow.
And so I think that, I think but I think I'm starting to lean into that umbrella idea that.
Yeah. Thank you. And thank you for mentioning that, because that expression came from my personal journey. And just like everything that I seem to do comes from the personal journey. And that's to realize I had a mentor that would say to us, hey, like you guys are unique, you complement one another, but don't allow yourself to be boxed in.
Right.
And so I would look at everything and be like, all right, well, I can do this, but it doesn't fully hold what I express or see. Now, prior, I would judge a lot. And it wouldn't necessarily be public, but trust me, I was judging that service. I was judging that speaker. I was judging this. I was judging all those things. And I'm like, well, whatever. But once you really realize, okay, this is an area of who I am and how I'm dealing to express, and I'm unfolding, I think that's why it's so powerful for me when I view our clients or anything else like that. I don't view people as broken.
Yeah.
I view them as, like I said, like it's like a flower, and like what is my expression in the earth realm as Christ in the earth realm, like how can I support them on their journey to help them be a flower that opens up and is the beauty that's
always been there.
Right. That's always been there. So it's not that it's missing, it's lacking, it's not broken. But once I shifted that, now I'm like, okay, I can see that. And other thing is too, as we've talked about, all we see, this ain't the real world. So it's all the area of spiritual, so the things that we're looking at and we're seeing and we're experiencing, this ain't the real world. I won't go super deep into all that, but so when I can see through the person and look at being or the divinity that the individual is, now it's like, let's unfold, let's develop, let's talk. As a matter of fact, let's kind of get the other voices, the egoic voices out the way, so we can just talk divinity to divinity and come from this area to move forward and be the expression so that other people can move forward. So I like the multi-creative perspective. I really do. The multi-passionate perspective, because it's all true.
Yeah.
There is one and there also is many, just like God.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, that's good. I think that's what it's really about. I love what you said about even like just being a support to people as they're unfolding, as they're evolving, and as the layers are being pulled back, like, I think that's what we see when we see people in various aspects of life. And like you said, our initial response most times is to judge the situation for what we see, versus saying, hey, that's another human being that is still on their journey.
Yeah.
Still discovering all of who God is within them and how to fully express that. Some people are fighting that. Some people are fighting that God being trying to be expressed, but they're got all the things going on in life.
Yeah.
And so, and in, in their minds and the experiences they've been through and the things they've seen, the trauma they've dealt with, like all these things they're fighting with to try to just fully be.
Yeah.
And that's a hard journey for anyone, right? And so as we're growing and as we're learning, I'm learning to fully just embrace the being and see that. Like we used to say it all the time, like to see with eyes of an owl, right? Like seeing through the what we would call darkness, looking, which just simply means looking beyond the circumstance and being able to see with God's eyes. Like, God, what do you see in this person? What do you see in this situation? Help me to align with that as we operate as one.
Yeah.
I have a choice whether I'm going to see with the eyes of God or whether I'm going to choose judgment or choose some other route.
Because we have the gift of choice.
Yes.
And so I know that that higher mind of aligning with God is the choice of love, all power. So wherever you are in your journey, we want to encourage you to continue to unfold, right? Continue to develop, continue to be. And it's different. I think that's why meditation and breath work that we do is really important, because it allows me. I told you the other day, I said, I've gotten drained. It's not even about our work or business. I've gotten drained just going back and forth with ego. Like realizing again that this world, what I'm seeing right now, this ain't really, I need to look through that to really see what's going on. And the ego will tell me this, and then I'm coming from, and then I'm just like, why am I coming from this area of what am I? And so even when frustration would happen, and it could be something outside, I didn't realize that it was all connected. That it's an area where it's like, all right, so let me process this, not to judge it, but also to see what it's going to teach me about myself. And then that even takes me to a deeper, wider, more connected oneness with God, to really remove that judgment. If you start looking at somebody as they're a part of you,
yeah,
that's a lot. That's a different.
It's a lot to process. You saw me try to process that idea that we were all created, like we're all one. Like I'm still like, well, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Right. But the truth of the matter is, like, if I'm believing that God is within me and expresses himself through me, how can I not say that about the next person?
Yeah.
Right. That's ego. That's me, like, putting myself above another.
Yeah.
And so it's just the way I have to process and grow in that mindset and in that truth.
Yeah. And I love that, because there you go. You said that word, the truth, or your truth. And it just hit my heart too, as us as creatives, as we're operating, like, again, removing the judgment and just understanding where each person is, respecting that, seeing that is a blessing. It really is, when you can sit and see where somebody is and either continue to provide a safe place for them to develop and unfold, or have the option to go ahead and see what your role may be in that. Like, me understanding the area of oneness and operating, like, I'm like, wow, like that's why, like, I come from the area in this journey to be like, let's go beyond just religion. Now, religion's not bad. Again, I'm not saying it's bad or anything like that. But that umbrella approach is a different way that I started seeing things, because I had questions before. I would be frustrated, like, how can this person believe this and this person believe this and this person believe this, and then they're getting success and then they don't believe, and then all this stuff, I'm in judgment because I believe this and that. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's another umbrella approach. There is a God beyond religion. Right? And we get the gift to be like, yo, but this is how I want to express myself and God, and this is what I agree with, and this is what I want to do, and that's fine, right? Yeah. But operating from that level of realizing, wow, we've limited, even in our choice, we still have a limit. And I'm like, I just want to be in a place where I want to take the limits off of God.
Yeah.
And not judge whatever that means, but I'm taking the limits off to be like, wow, like I didn't realize that there was limitations that I had placed on God with what I thought was freedom.
Yeah.
I thought it was freedom.
Yeah.
But it still put it in the area of that. And so that's been a blessing to even journey, watch, see some things and not have the restriction of who God is, and see the area of expression and seeing how it even ties to us as this multi-passionate beings that he's created us to be, and to express those things as it continues to help people move forward. You want to say something?
Yeah. If you just think about it, a lot of times, at least for me, it helps me to put myself in a situation to better understand it. So you're saying like seeing or experiencing God beyond religion. Like for some people, that's like, what?
Right.
What do you mean? Like God is this, right? There is no this without that.
Right.
And it makes me think of...
I didn't say without.
Right.
I said beyond.
Beyond.
Okay, go ahead.
But I'm saying way someone may hear it.
Yeah.
But it makes me think of like, just you grow up, everybody grows up in a family, right? And your family may be known for something in the community, right? And so as you're growing up, everybody's like, oh, like, you ready? Like, this is what the family does. This is who the family is. Like, are you on that path? And that expectation for some of us, kind of, you're like, but that's not really me. That's not all that I can do that. But that's not all that I am. Yeah. Right? I'm not just, I have a family of ministers, right? So I'm not just a minister, right? I can express myself this way, that way. I can come over here and I can be with these people who got nothing to do with church, right? And still fully express who I am and who God is in me. Yeah. And so that helps me to better understand, wait, if I'm just saying, God, you only fit inside of what this religion says, then I am limiting God, just like people try to limit us. Sure. And we don't like that. Sure. Because we know that there's more inside of us. And so that just helped me to better understand and see God like, wow, God, I want to experience all of who you are, no matter what, like, the rules may say, right, inside of religion, but just like all of it. Like, I don't want to, if I want to live a full life, if I want to really experience everything that is for me, then I have to experience all of who God is.
Wow. That's good. I mean, that's real good.
Thank you.
If I would steal from Todd, who was talking about, after I had got up and he had to come behind that. There's no need to come behind that right there. So that's amazing. That's all that is. I don't even want to stretch this thing out. I do want to go to you and ask you to speak to the person who's watching this, and they've gotten this far, but they have dealt with the area of that pressure to either feel one or conform to this or whatever the case may be. What would you say to them? I mean, they see themselves as the area of an entrepreneur. They have this going on for as a creative. They're identifying with all these various situations and things, but they have not been able to truly express who they are. How would you encourage them on their journey?
The first thing I would say is to get someone to walk on that journey with.
Anybody?
No. Someone who maybe few steps ahead of you, that can just go alongside you, right? And love you as you evolve, not hinder the evolving, not judge it, but just fully, be that support, be that person that you can go to, that you can talk to, that you can cry with, or whatever you need to do. We're super, super high on getting therapy as well. And I think that's a big part of it, because getting therapy kind of helps you dig out all the stuff that you sometimes don't even realize you've been holding on to that has been stopping you.
Yeah.
Most times we think the hindrance of being all that who we are is other people, but it's really ourselves and the concern we have with what other people will think.
Yeah.
That's a me problem. That's not a them problem. And so therapy, at least for me, helped to dig up some of that stuff and process through it, sift through it, and let it go, so that I could feel more freedom. When you start getting rid of some of the things and the experiences you've had that you've been carrying with you through life and the traumas, when you start to begin to heal from those things, it's amazing how much easier it is to show up as you.
Yeah.
Because you're realizing that the things you've been holding on to that you may even think other people are concerned about are non-issues. Yeah. And so therapy, getting a support system around you, it could be one person, it could be a couple people, but not a whole bunch, and not, people who are going to just try to force you back in to the box that you feel like you're in right now. And the last thing I'll say is that just step out, take that one step toward where you desire to be. And it's like stepping into a cold swimming pool, right? You take one step in and it kind of shocks you, but you really want to get in. And once you get in, you'll feel so much better because it's a hot day, right?
Yeah.
But it's that shock going from 80, 90 degrees outside to the cool water. But once you get in there and you take one step and you take another step and you go deeper into the water, now you're like, man, why did it take me this long why didn't I just jump in?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so take one step. Maybe somebody's ready to just jump in. Yeah. But don't do it alone. That's the thing I'll say is the biggest for me. Don't do it alone.
Wow. I love it. You have something, and I apologize, Elevation Nation, who are not local, okay? And I apologize for the fellas. Still stick around, though, okay? But you have something that is going on soon. I want you to talk a little bit about it through your business that you're going to be, dealing with the young ladies. It's only a few of them, but I still think the heart and mind of it, people to just hear about it, even if they can't connect with it right now. Talk to me about it. Talk to us about it.
Yeah. So speaking of passion, I mentioned earlier, like my passion for women in particular, not that I don't care about the men, but my heart is pulled towards the women.
I care about you, brothers.
And being free and basically creating the world that they desire to live in, or the life they desire to live. And so my business is marketing. I provide promotional items and do things for businesses, and anywhere from t-shirts to printed materials to banners to whatever they might need to get their brand out there. Expanding brands is what I do and is what we are. But this, yes, expanding. But I'm doing a class particularly for young ladies, so 10 to 16 years old, where I'm going to be teaching them how to design, print, and sell t-shirts. It's a big thing. It's a popular thing. A lot of people do it. That's where I started with my business. But it's just expanded into so much more than that now. But although that's the fun part, that's just like get them in the door type of thing. My heart really is to take that process and those examples and apply it to life.
Yeah.
At 10 to 16 years old, if you can start to really identify yourself as an individual and that God is working inside of you at that age, imagine what you'll be when you're 21, when you're 30, when you're 40. Like for me, I'm just discovering at almost 40. Whereas if I can start to support and help them at that age, I mean, we're talking boss ladies, we're talking free women who will be amazing in anything they do, whether it's motherhood, whether it's marriage, whether it's business, whatever their heart desires, like they'll be amazing because they'll start out free.
Yeah. I love it. So thank you for sharing that. So what I want to do is in an area of the notes in the description, I'm going to put a link to your event. And then again, so this is a number of ways, listen up, y'all, of how we can do this. So fellas, if you're watching and that's you have a daughter and you're in our area, then you can connect to that link from there. But you're watching, you're like, look, I'm not there, but I love the message. I love to support. Maybe you want to sponsor somebody who actually would need this. And so again, we'll have some information for you to connect with LaNisha, her team for that. But I also want you to know too, like, why you want to support somebody who you align with what they stand for and value. So if that's you and it is beyond our area, her business is national. So again, if you need t-shirts, if you need, I don't want to misspeak pretending to everything that you have is so much that you deal with and do. All right.
Anything promotional, anything that promotes your business, business cards, I design everything. Banners, if you go to events.
Yes.
My heart is more towards the small business.
Yes. So not one-offs, you're saying. You don't want a person just for one shirt, right?
I don't generally do that, no.
Okay. All right.
I usually work with groups or small businesses and providing whatever they might need to expand their brand.
Yes. So if you want that, need that, say yes, that's that. We're going to have those links there. It's available. But for those who are listening, can you share with us what your site is so that they can go ahead and check you out there and connect with you?
Yes. So my website is expandingbrands.com. That's with an X, not an E. And on there, the best thing you could do is hit the contact us and reach out so we can talk exactly about what you need. You can find the various services we have on there, from merchandising solutions to fundraising solutions for like schools, sports teams, things like that, to marketing materials, to social media marketing. They're all there. But the best thing to do is to contact us so we can have a chat. And I can really hear your heart and see where you're at and what you need so we can make that happen.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Elevation Nation, thank you as always for joining us for this conversation and this subject. And if this episode touched your heart, touched your mind, touched your being, and took you to a higher level, then what we want you to do is catch this next episode that is going to take you deeper and wider. Those who've been dealing with the area of pressure as it relates to success, we got you. And so stay tuned for this episode. It's going to take you to that level. All right.